And that's essential to remember in conifers. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today we'll shorten the needle, work on 2 pine trees, Japanese black pine, to shorten the needles as well as to make the needles much more uniform. I tend to let the tree grow until it all became needles that is done growing, turning from candles into needles, and then I cut them at the same time and shape them at the same time so that the next flush of growth will be about the same length. And I do that about twice a year per tree, and they become quite nice over time in terms of uniformity and the shortness of the needle. So that's what I do. And I chose not to cut off when they're still candles because I wanted to grow to strengthen the tree. And when they're done growing, then I cut them all at once. And it can be done fairly quickly, as you can see. So with that in mind, then I'll get to work and then get the other tree. This tree is a Mikawa variety that I bought from in a 1-gallon can about 15 years ago. And you can see it grown quite nicely. Actually, it was pretty abused in the beginning because I was busy with my work. And so these roots were kind of like in set shape. But the philosophy of when you lemon make lemonade, I turn it into one the Chinese actually like. It's kind of like emulating some kind of an animal, like a horse running or something. So with that in mind, then I would now start cutting to shape it. You can see this tree is actually looks pretty interesting from all angles, and that's what you need to kind of pay attention to, so not just work on one side. So with that introduction, I will start to work on a tree. And one thing you want to keep in mind is that the overall shape of the tree, in this case, this is getting way too high. And since there are a lot of branches here, I would just cut it off. And it will all grow back in due time. And even though it's not very long, I cut it a little bit so that it will come out to be the same needles of the same length. So this would be a little bit too high, so I just cut it so that it's more like this way too high. It's really not very critical because who is to say exactly it has to be a branch here someplace. And then, of course, you want to remove the bottom because you want to kind of create the idea of a pad. When the branches are too thick, you try to thin them off a little bit because the new growth will fill up the voids quite nicely without appearing to be bare. See, this get to be kind of getting longer and longer, the apex. So you want to avoid doing that by lowering the top. It will fill out fairly quickly. After I clean this off, you can see this nice flow of the trunk. And this one obviously need to come down some to show that the drooping of the age. And then this one maybe come down a little bit more if I can bend it, although it's not necessary. So, but I think this branch definitely needs to come down to show the drooping by the weight of the weather or the growth. So with that in mind, then I'll just keep, I think I should come to the front to clip this part. But in the meantime, I need to clean up this pad to make it into a pad. This part to make it into a pad. And one thing good about the Mikawa pine is that it will shoot out everywhere. I always leave something behind, green behind, otherwise it would not grow out of the bare trunk. And that's essential to remember in conifers. So this is the tree, we redone it. I would use a guide wire to push that down a little bit. It will fill out in about 3 months, and we'll do an update 6 months from now. In a sense, we cut it again. And after that, I think for the rest 6 months, it'll look pretty nice as a display tree. Again, this is a Mikawa variety that I've been working on for about 15 years. It was neglected in the beginning, and I took it out of the pot and exposed the roots. And it turns out to emulate the Chinese style, which is like emulating animal emotion, which I think is interesting, but I'm not making a big deal of it. And I will move this branch down a little bit to show the age. Okay, I'm going to use a guide wire to pull this branch down. And what I will be careful is not to scar the bark by putting, in this case, an aquarium pump tubing. And I think I will choose it more here I think this part is a little too stiff. And I use the dead wood to, for the other side. And I can pull this down gently. Actually, I have to move this forward a little bit. Don't think this, I think that's too stiff at that part, whereas this part is a little bit more supple. It's more movable, so it tilt a little bit more. So if I pull this down, push this down, and then fix it with this wire, I think it looks nice. It didn't tilt as much as I wanted to, so I would try to tilt this part a little bit. I'm not going to use tubing because I'm going to remove it fairly quickly. It's not going to eat into it, and also I find it at the notch so it wouldn't show if there's any scarring. So this will give it a little bit more of a tilt. Okay, so I'm done with this tree for now. So again, look at this. So again, this is a Mikawa pine, black pine, that I've been working on for about 15 years. It was neglected in the beginning, and so when I took it out of the pot, some of the branches were dead, but it turns out to be nice. It's a Chinese style of a animal in motion, which I think it's a little silly, but I think it looks nice as a design. And I remove quite a bit of green to show the trunk, to show the power of the trunk. But remember, for conifers, always leave some green behind. Otherwise, it will not pop out. Although Mikawa has a little bit more tendency to pop out. So that's the virtue of Mikawa pine, which can give you some really nice pads eventually to fill out. This is the second pine. I'm to cut the needle to short to demonstrate how to shorten the needle and make it more uniform. This tree, it's a Cork pine. I bought about 3 months ago in an auction. The gentleman collected donated about 400 trees for auction. So I was very fortunate to get this Cork pine. I would say it's between 40 to 50 years old. You can see the amount of corking, and it's probably imported from Japan. That would be my guess. And it's a very good tree, so I'll do my best. Although the roots are not well managed, so I will someday reshape the roots when I repot it, which I have to be very careful because they tend to be quite root bound by now. With that in mind, then I'll just proceed to cut the needle. Again, remember when you cut conifers, always leave something green behind each branch, or else it will not shoot out. The needles is actually quite long at this point, so I hope after 2 or 3 times of this cutting, the needle will become more uniform and shorter. But actually, I will expose the branch a little bit more to show the magnificent corking that it's doing. With that in mind, I just get to work. Probably takes me 15 minutes. It really doesn't take that much time. So I first will work on the apex, and I don't want the apex to keep growing to be out of hand. So I will keep the apex short by cutting back as much as I can without destroying the look of it. And you can see there's plenty growth that will be coming out to fill the void. So it's not a problem if I cut it short, and it will come out. And I leave some green behind. And I'm not doing a good job cutting because I don't know exactly what will come out, but I'll do it again the next time to do the little bit better job. And usually it cork pine wind up being too dense. So I need to be cognizant to cut off some so that it doesn't get too dense that you can't see anything. So you can see it's not very nice, but it will grow back. I'm trying to shorten the branches as much as I can because sometimes it's too impossible because it's already grow out to the point there's no more green. So like this one, this is the first green that I encountered, so that's as far as I can go and no further in terms of shortening it. So you have to keep on top of these trees all the time or else it gets away from you. So beyond repair, so to speak. So like this one, it's good, but it's too close to the front, the end. So I cut it off, and I try to use the right branches at the right distance. I'm opening it up so you can see, otherwise it's just a big clump. And then I try to shorten the branches. Let's say this is as short as it will go with the green, and then it would come out, and I fill it up later. So like this, it's kind of cluttered. So I'm cutting this off to start over again. Look at this, a big amount got cut off. And so this one can now provide some clean design. You have to be kind of aggressive, otherwise it just gets away from you in terms of being too dense and you couldn't see really the tree design. I goof a little bit here, but that's life. I guess you can see everything. Look at the corking, it's amazing, amazing. But you see it getting too dense like this. Why is this branch going down? And this branch is too far gone, it's too far. So I have to use this branch to start over again. And this, it's gone too far, so I cut short as much as I can. So it would take a couple of iterations to begin to look right again. In the meantime, you just have to bear with it. It's like this one is going down. It doesn't really look right. And so, I don't know, at least for now, I just cut off here. So at least it will be here and not blocking the whole tree. Look at this piece is falling off. I'll probably try to glue it back because this is valuable corking. Like this is growing back into the trunk. So I had to cut it off. So it'll be quite bare when I'm done with it, but it will fill out eventually, hopefully, anyway. Oh, look at this, all corking. It's amazing. I'm not really experiencing doing cork pine, but this is the best effort I can do to clean up the branches to show off the corking. And also when it comes out the next time, I have another opportunity to shape it again. So it doesn't have to be exactly right the first time, but these are truly amazing corking that you can see. And I don't know, I would try to root some of these. I think the chance of maybe not because they are not very long shoots. But cork pine, supposedly you can grow from cuttings, but I was told that the percentage is very low, and there's really no long branches for me to do cutting, so I'll forget it. But this is a very nice cork elm that people will kill for because it's a probably 75 years old tree, and you can look at all the corking. It's venerable, really, it's amazing. But at least I cut them off to show off the trunk rather than the big lump of growth that hides all of the tree. So today we did 2 black pine, and one is Arakawa, one is Nishiki, the cork pine. In each case, you have to remember to leave some of the green needles behind so they will shoot out. And when it shoots out, it will be very many candles, and you can cut them to select them the direction you want and let them grow out to a certain length. I would let them grow to maturity, in a sense, become needles, and then cut them like I am doing again. So we'll show you these 2 trees 3 to 6 months from now, show the progress, so you will know how to deal with your black pine. So with that, if you find this video useful and informative, please click like and subscribe to our channel so we'll keep you notified of our new postings. We expect to post 1 new Q&A with commentary each week, plus 2 or 3 or 4 new video of bonsai trees I do, and then give you updates on all these trees. So thank you very much. See you again next week.